May have pushed the guys a little bit too hard in the team meeting this morning. They were a little excited today. But, final opportunity in pads for the starting groups who will not be playing Thursday. We had a great move the ball session at the end. It got heated towards the end, kind of going in there. There were some unbelievably physical plays, some hard runs, safeties showing up, some great rushes. And they just kind of were in a competitive moment. Tempers flared. We try to push the guys to the edge. We went a little bit over. But at the same time, that's the edginess we have to play with. When we have these opportunities, we have to be able to play a physical style of football. And sometimes it goes a little too far. I'm going to talk to the guys this afternoon. It's like, okay, now when you throw a punch, you're gone. So then all of a sudden, where are we at? Where's the rest of the team sit, when that happens? So good teachable moment right there, but a fantastic day at work.
Is there a matter of safety, too, just because hitting hands on helmets and stuff like that? Is that a concern at all, too?
Sure, but honestly, it's just don't punch your teammates and don't punch other teammates. Let's make sure that we play with the 46 guys we brought to the game, and that's got to be the focus.
Didn't see who all was involved, but we saw JC, Icky. Did you get a good vantage point of?
There was a lot of guys chirping both sides. Again, this is like the dog days of camp, and this is the one last shot in pads, and they took it, they crescendoed to a place that I want our football to be, and we have to be comfortable operating there.
Do you dislike the fact that it spilled over after practice?
They kept talking. Chuba kind of came up at the end, was like, guys, at the end of the day, we're all family. It's going to get heated like this sometimes, but we got to move forward together.
On the subject of challenging them, I think this is the first time all camp we've seen gassers. What kind of precipitated that? It sounded like Chuba was.
That was all player led. They kind of have been talking to each other, holding each other accountable to the pre-snap stuff that I've been harping on. I'm not a big fan of the gassers. I believe that we practice hard enough. We don't need to do that kind of stuff. And try to add more volume to the high intensities that I'm expecting in all phases. But for the guys, it means something to them, and that was their way of trying to address it today. I think it was one. So, I think the message kind of was taken across the board, and there was a good response that way.
Pushed for the
I have no idea. I was so confused. We were going into 7-on-7, and all of a sudden they're saying sideline. I was like, no, let's not move the ball yet. And then I was looking what's happening here? And then somebody came up and was like, Bryce and Chuba are having the whole group do gassers right here off of that, pre-snap foul that we had. So
it seemed like there was kind of an attitude shift, I guess, around the Denver, New Orleans kind of time period last year. J.C. Horn kind of got into it during the game. Is there a level of intensity that you guys saw last year kind of brimming that kind of gave you confidence during that run down the stretch?
I think the only way I know how to answer that is I want guys' personalities to show up. And the more that they know what to do and have confidence in who we are and what we're doing, the more their personalities will show up. And we have some guys that are louder than others. I really don't want everybody just trying to take on that personality if that's not you, Trey Merrick hasn't said anything, but I hear him every play because he's smacking somebody. It's a receiver trying to block him. It's a running back in the hole. It's that's just the way he does it, And we have other guys with bigger personalities, and if that's how they are all the time, I want them to be like that on the field as well, within reason, of course, and we got to be, respectful to our officials and respectful to the other team in regards to what happens after the play, but yeah, I want these guys to show who they are. I want all of it.
Coach, you touched on Perkins' background yesterday.
Yeah.
Can you just expand a little bit on the character it takes to go down to the UFL, thrive?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I had a great, I go through the warm-ups with the guys, and so, Bryce just showed up, and so I was like, hey, I got a spot right here. And so even just today, just enjoying the day, enjoying the moment, and he was like, the one thing that I learned playing in the UFL is guys are playing for the love of the game. It's about passion, it's about opportunity, and it's about proving something to themselves, that they can do this. When the NFL says no, do you just go home, or do you find another place you can play football to kind of prove that? And I just got chills hearing that. I was like, that's it right there. That's the mentality, at any level, especially here where guys can take it for granted. These are the greatest days of our lives. This is a dream. We're living a dream, to be able to do this. So it was a really cool conversation.
Would you like to see UFL become a minor league affiliate of the NFL to, maybe expand the draft and get more players to develop?
I don't have an opinion on that, but I do know that that's useful film that we have to evaluate right now. And so we do take advantage of that. And the communication that happens with personnel departments in the NFL and personnel departments at the UFL, there's a lot of interchange that happens there.
Mike Bercovici yesterday
Yeah.
and how he worked. And I know you're big on like developing coaches under you. Can
Yeah.
you talk about what he brings to the table, not necessarily being the QB coach, but being out there in practice and working with the guys?
Yeah, and having playing experience himself, he brings a wealth of knowledge. He's been in a couple of different systems. He was with Cliff Kingsbury for a bunch of years in Arizona. And he's got to, it seems like everywhere we go, he's worked with or played for somebody. As recently as a friend of mine from Los Angeles, where Burko played high school, at Taft High School in Los Angeles, California, ran into him, at the Houston joint practice. But I think Burko's just, he's made right. He's developmentally minded. He wants to be all hands on deck. He's courageous to bring things up that may seem a little bit out of scheme, and he'll say, hey, I think we should look at this. He's kind of scouring the NFL, scouring the college football to see if there's stuff that we can incorporate. So he's doing a great job.
You challenged the guys before practice.
Yeah.
What was the message?
Last stand pads. Let's capture it. Let's go get it. Okay. Half of our team played a lot of football just a couple days ago, so they had to call it up, and I've just kind of said to them, like, this is what it feels like on Wednesday after just a really physical game. Every week it's super physical in this league, but you have to you're not fully healthy by Wednesday. You're completely sore still. There's thises and that's, and you have to make a decision to go. And they did that, and I kind of had about half the amount of plays planned at the end and that moved the ball, but it just felt like football. And I was like, there's no way I'm not going to be able to look at Mike, Jack, and JC and Derek. I'm not going to be able to look them in the face if I call this, move the ball scrimmage period right now. They want to play football. Bryce wanted to play. The drive was going on. So,
Give us a quick update on Tremble and Damian Lewis.
yeah. So Tommy is doing great. He's running full speed. He's looking towards just trying to get some more physical contact and get that adaptation part before we can fully clear him. He won't be playing this week, but he's on track. He's had no setbacks, and so we're excited, to get Tommy back on the field doing something, real soon. Yeah, I believe so. But again, that's saying that once we put him through the physical part of it, he's got to push on people. He's got to get some, get his base underneath him and leverage and all that. So we still got a couple weeks to figure that part out. Damian's getting stronger every day. He's getting his stability and strength back. I was told he could play this week if we had to. We're not going to do that because he's still getting stronger. We want to just capitalize on that part as we go into the season. But I wouldn't say he's 100% playing for week one. This is a progression just like anything else, so we'll have to go just week to week still.
Back. Do you anticipate him playing on Thursday?
He will not play on Thursday. He did a great job today in practice, got out there, made a really strong throw. So we feel confident about where he's at. But again, I think this opportunity is huge for Jack, and for Bryce to be able to show what they can do. We know what Andy can do. But I think, just the smart thing for us right now is to just not put him out there in that setting.
Bryson Tremaine just keeps making plays.
Yeah.
He made several today.
Yeah.
Is there something you want to see from him in particular on Thursday to prove to you? How do you go about evaluating him?
Yeah, the evaluation now is consistency. Can he continue to do it? Can he do it one more time? Can we count on him for weeks on end? That's really a challenge for him. He's doing a great job.
How much more impactful is it when the message is like, hey, we're going to run real quick, or hey guys, like we're done with the scrapping, when it comes from the guys? Like how much more instead of the coaching staff?
Yeah, it's ownership, and I think that's when it becomes powerful, when the messaging and the standards of what we're doing is a cultural thing that really is, again, coaches, we set the foundation. We give the information. We give our experiences of things that we've learned over the course of years, but it becomes powerful when the players own it, when the players say, this is how we're going to play defense here. This is how we're going to play offense here. And when they capture that part of it, just like anything else, it's skin in the game. It's like, guys, this is our team, but more specifically, this is your team. Who do we want to say we're going to be?
Dave, you talked about the fact that, guys got after it, they got edgy, there was the scrap, everything. and it's the attitude, the mentality that you want to see. Is it the case that we're at a point in camp now where the guys are just salty enough and they've had it with the little stuff and it's going to spark? And is that kind of where you want this group to be on week one with that, I mean, that edge that they've got to have play in and play out?
Absolutely. There's a stubbornness and a resilience that comes with playing this game. And the challenge is, can you stay focused in those situations? Because if you're flying off the handle and spouting off and saying different things and you're pushing and shoving, but we're not getting execution, then what is that? What good is that? So we have to be able to have both, and you have to be comfortable playing at such a high pitch, emotionally and physically. You have to be comfortable being able to snap back into the next play. But yeah, it takes that kind of that kind of urgency to win in this league. It takes everything you got the whole time, and so that's the mentality. But can we reel it back in, guys, and can we just get back to work here? Which we did in the middle of that drive. We got back to, we had to, get a short break of it, and then we went right back to work and got another 6 or 8 plays, with some really good execution. So.
Coker to play
after Mike, you want to take a question from Sharon?
Do you expect Jalen Coker to play on Thursday since he missed all the Houston stuff?
Yeah. Absolutely. This is just so valuable for him just to kind of make sure that he's still capitalizing on the conditioning level, getting ready for week 1.
Hey, Coach, I know that you take into account the entire preseason body of work with guys, but can this game Thursday night be make or break for some of the guys who are really on the bubble?
Absolutely. Every time we go out there, today was one of those things. It's like, guys, we had a full speed special teams period. Feel free to show us that you want to make this team. Feel free to not just kind of give in to somebody's not quite going full speed. Go win. Show us a win. Show us that we can count on you. And this is not just for the roster, but we're talking about the practice squad as well. These are high stakes moments for these guys. Every practice and especially every preseason game, these are the only opportunities that we get. So I'm really excited to see who elevates, who steps up and shows us something. And every year it's like somebody surprises you, and it's like, they haven't quite shown up in the first 2, and all of a sudden they got another week of installs, another week of practice, and then they're right back out there, and you see these giant leaps in improvement, especially with the young guys. Like their learning curve is so steep before they have to settle out here, where the veterans are kind of here and they just incrementally have to improve details and technique. But with the young guys, there's huge strides. So we can't make any declarations about who this person is. They will be different next week, I promise you, as they gather more information. So I'm really excited for that Thursday night.
I asked you yesterday, who called the game on Saturday, and then who do you expect to call the game on Thursday?
Yeah, so Brad called the game offensively for the last 2 preseason games. Really valuable opportunity for me, as Brad is the main guy that I rely on during games to feed me information, play sequencing, when to get to certain things. I've been this wingman role for a lot of coordinators in the NFL, and I know how valuable it is as you're searching for plays and somebody in your ear just says, 2nd and 6, they're playing man. Boom, you got the right call. And for me, just the added value for Brad to feel what that feels like, to know here's when that information is appropriate. Here's how to sequence these things. These are the things running through his mind as he's, developing this game, as the game's kind of coming to us. And on the flip side of it, it's for Ajero. We have with our staff, we don't have just a bunch of guys that have called plays before. And every once in a while you have, some veteran coaches who have been coordinators or have been head coaches. We do have some of those guys, but to develop more guys to have those eyes for Cooley and for Pete Hansen, to feel what that feels like, so that when Ajero's asking for information in between drives, it just comes out of a different set of eyes when you get to experience it. But Ajero and I will call this game. And I mean, it may seem weird to people, you're not playing the starters, but you're calling it. But again, it's for he and I to just continue to find the sequence of winning a game, of striving, of making adjustments, and kind of utilizing the new information that the guys have, It was Pete Hansen last week, and then Jonathan Cooley the first week.
Last question from Cassie.
Yeah, just kind of building off of Sharon's question, obviously some decisions to make next week. What can guys show you on Thursday to kind of stand out? How do they set themselves apart?
Yeah, doing right, first and foremost. The play style that we always talk about that we're looking for. And then I think, big picture-wise, it's like who can cover kicks, who can make tackles, who can block guys in the return game, on kickoff return or punt return. Those are the things to me that I just can't say enough about. The special teams value that players bring. This is for the practice squad guys too, because we have call-up opportunities. We're not going to call up a guy who can't play on teams because it's not worth it. They're not getting called up typically, sometimes, but typically they're not getting called up to start on offense or defense. They're getting called up to be a depth player available for when someone busts a shoelace and you got to go in really quick. But they're mostly there. They got to be on the coverage units. They got to be on the return units. So are these guys that we can count on, who have the physical, aggressive nature, but also understand what we're doing? And that's what these opportunities are about. Yep. Thank you.